Actress Lee Si-young had been absent from the spotlight for some time. No new scandals, no new dramas, no major interviews. But a simple appearance was enough for the actress's name to return full force to the headlines. And it wasn't because of any acting performance. Suddenly, the veteran actress, known for memorable roles in Boys Over Flowers, Mischievous Kiss, and Sweet Home, became the center of a national conversation. But the exact reason wasn't yet clear. It all started with discreet murmurs on Korean forums. Some more attentive fans noticed that in recent interviews, Lee Si-young seemed a bit different. Looser clothing, more discreet glances, and a certain care not to expose herself too much. In a casual chat on presenter Shin Dong-yup's YouTube channel, she dropped a curious phrase. "I used to love drinking, but lately I've been avoiding it for personal reasons." That was enough to set off the alarms. Speculation soon began. Was she pregnant? Had she started a new relationship? Was she facing some health problem? But nobody imagined that the truth behind that personal reason would be something so complex, and mainly, so controversial. Her name started climbing the trending topics. Some believed it was just marketing for a new project. Others said she was stepping away from screens due to family problems. But the bomb hadn't exploded yet, and when it did, there was no going back. It was a pregnancy. But not just any pregnancy. It was only when Korean media outlets started releasing discreet notes, without many details, that curiosity turned into scandal. Comments multiplied, assumptions became bolder, and the press began chasing answers. The public wanted to know, whose baby was it? Was she in a new relationship? Had she used artificial insemination? And more importantly, why so much mystery? The truth is that Lee Si-young had returned, and with a story nobody expected to hear. Long before the controversy that would take over the media portals, Lee Si-young was seen as the perfect example of someone who had managed to succeed in life, famous, established in her career, beloved by the public. And in 2017, she seemed to close the cycle with a golden key. She married successful businessman Cho Seung-yoon in a luxurious ceremony at the Grand Walker Hill Hotel, one of Seoul's most sophisticated venues. The wedding news fell like a fairy tale in the Korean press. She, a television star. He, a young entrepreneur who started in the food business at 20 years old and, in less than a decade, was already earning millions with bars, restaurants, and food chains spread throughout the city's trendiest neighborhoods. One of these ventures was even a salad restaurant created especially for her, a gesture that, at the time, charmed fans. In 2018, the couple's first child was born, Young-yoon. With the baby's arrival, the family's public image seemed even more perfect. A successful actress, a rich and present husband, a healthy child, and an apparently stable life. But, as usually happens, not everything was as ideal as it seemed from the outside. In 2021, during an appearance on the program Omniscient Interfering View, Lee Si-young opened a small window into her private life. She told how, before marriage, her husband was the type who did everything for her, even accompanying her on runs at 4 in the morning. But after they married, he simply stopped. When she asked why, his answer was short and cruel. "I don't understand you anymore." The studio even laughed at the dry way he answered. And one of the presenters commented that perhaps the husband had treated marriage as the end of the line, as if, after conquering the woman, he no longer needed to make an effort. She, with an uncomfortable smile on her face, confirmed it. She said that nowadays he only wished her good workout and went back to sleep. But the most concerning reports involved the couple's own son. According to Lee Si-young, disagreements between father and son were frequent, mainly over food. When the child complained that his father had eaten what was his, the man would retort saying that he was the one who paid for it. When the boy responded that his mother had bought it, the father would correct, "with my money." In March 2024, confirmation came. Lee Si-young and Cho Seung-yoon were divorcing, at the time citing only personal differences. But as the public would soon discover, this end wouldn't really be the end. When the news finally came to light, it wasn't through an official statement. It was through an exclusive report published on July 8th by an investigative journalist. Lee Si-young was pregnant again, and the father was Seung-yoon. Yes, the same man she had divorced just a few months earlier. The public's first reaction was total confusion. What? Had they gotten back together? Had they secretly reconciled? But it only took a few hours for the pieces to start falling into place, and the shock to increase even more. The pregnancy was the result of a frozen embryo from 2018, when the couple was still married and trying to have a second child through in vitro fertilization. And here came the most controversial part. The embryo was implanted without the ex-husband's consent. That's right. According to the actress herself, she made the decision alone when she learned that the embryo's storage deadline was about to expire. It was a choice made in silence, and one that completely changed the course of her life. Shortly after the media revelation, Lee Si-young's agency confirmed the pregnancy and also confirmed the father's identity. However, they asked for respect, privacy, and understanding, claiming it was a delicate personal matter. But the appeal didn't work, obviously. In an attempt to contain public judgment, Lee Si-young made a personal post on Instagram. which would later be deleted, but not before spreading across the entire internet. In the post, she explained that she always had the desire to have a second child, that she had faced feelings of guilt and frustration during her first pregnancy because she was too busy, too overwhelmed, and couldn't enjoy the moment as she would have liked. This time, she wanted to do things differently. She said she reflected a lot before making the decision, that she knew she would be judged, but that she couldn't live with the idea of discarding that embryo, something that for her represented more than just frozen cells. It was potential life, and more than that, it was a choice that would restore meaning to her amid the emotional chaos left by the divorce. The actress made it clear that she would move forward as a single mother, that she would bear all the consequences, and that she was ready to face everything. But on the other side, there was someone who hadn't been consulted, someone who didn't know he would have a second child. His response didn't take long to arrive. Faced with public commotion and heated debate on social media, Cho Seung-hyun decided to break his silence and give his version of the facts. And what he said only added more tension to a story that was already at its limit. In an interview with Dispatch, one of Korea's most influential outlets, the businessman confirmed that he and Lee Si-young had indeed started the in vitro fertilization process together in 2018 after their first child's birth. They froze embryos hoping to expand their family, but time passed, feelings changed, and the marriage collapsed. According to Cho, at no point after the divorce did he authorize the embryo to be used. For him, the decision to proceed with the pregnancy was unilateral, but surprisingly, even making it clear that he didn't give consent, he stated that he would take responsibility as a father. He said that now that the baby is on the way, he intends to be present in all stages, from pregnancy to birth, from upbringing to education. The statement surprised the public. Many expected a confrontation, a lawsuit, or at least distancing, but the businessman chose a less aggressive path, perhaps out of respect for the actress, perhaps for the child they already have together, or perhaps to preserve his own public image. But the case was far from being just a matter of opinions. The discussion gained legal dimensions. Family law experts were called by the press to clarify. After all, did Lee Si-young commit any illegality? The answer was more complex than imagined. In South Korea, there is no law that prohibits the use of frozen embryos after divorce. According to a lawyer, while mutual consent is mandatory for collecting eggs and sperm, the same doesn't apply to implanting existing embryos. That is, legally, she could proceed with the pregnancy, even without his authorization. But, as a former judge pointed out, the problem begins after the child is born. This is because, to be legally recognized as a father, Cho Seung-hyun needs to accept paternity, or if he doesn't accept, it can be determined judicially. And here enters a curious detail of Korean legislation. Every baby born within up to 300 days after divorce is automatically considered the ex-husband's child, unless he contests it judicially within a specific time frame. That is, even without consent. The law already recognizes him as the father, with all the rights and duties involved: custody, alimony, inheritance, and legal presence in the child's life. And this is where the story enters an even grayer zone. Because as much as Lee Si-young showed herself to be emotional, sincere, and even vulnerable in her accounts, many began to wonder, was it really just maternal impulse? Or was there, deep down, a strategy behind this decision? After all, she knew very well that Korean legislation would recognize her ex-husband as the child's legal father. She knew that, even without consent, he would be automatically involved. And she knew, above all, that Cho Seung-hyun is a man of high net worth, owner of lucrative businesses, and fully capable of covering alimony, school, health insurance, and everything a child requires. Had it been a calculated move, or a last desperate act by someone who just wanted to feel what it's like to be a mother again, this time without guilt, without anxiety, without the rush of a suffocating career? The line between emotion and convenience has never been so difficult to draw. But now we want to know from you. What do you think of this story? Did Lee Si-young act out of love? Or did she override everything and everyone to get what she wanted? Comment below. Your opinion is very important in this debate.